Welcome to How IT Gets Done. My name is Dang Long. Today I have Vaughn from Equinix with me. Our topic for discussion will be about reducing DR and backup costs using Hitachi Cloud Connect for Equinix. But first, Vaughn, can you give us a little bit of background about Equinix?
Yeah, Equinix is a digital infrastructure platform that enables our customer to deploy that infrastructure and connect to their ecosystem partners.
Okay. Well, let's start by reviewing some of the best practices for backup and DR. With backup, you want minimum 3 copies of your data on 2 media types, and one of those copies should be offsite. With DR, the main concern is that the data center, that's your DR site, should be far away from your primary data center so that if there's a disaster, both sites will not be offline. Since you talk to customers quite a bit, what are you hearing from them for DR and backup considerations?
Yeah, I do talk to customers almost every day, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is they need to be able to define what their own disaster recovery or backup objectives are. So for example, you just mentioned one, what is that distance between their primary site and their backup or their disaster site? Another one would be what type of configuration do they need, like an active-active or active-passive? And that kind of gets into the idea of how quickly do they need to recover their data, and how frequently do they need to back up to their data? So I think all of these are considerations that they need to find specific objectives for.
All these considerations drive up cost, don't they?
They certainly do.
Yeah.
The more frequently you're backing up your data, and the closer proximity that it is, and the faster you need to recover, it certainly has cost implications.
I think the other thing I want to say is complexity also. The number of copies, number of sites, that makes a lot of overhead for the storage admin or the data center admin. To address these kind of issues, cost and complexity, we have worked together to release a solution called Hitachi Cloud Connect for Equinix. Could you give us some details about this solution?
Yeah, the Hitachi Cloud Connect for Equinix solution really solves a number of storage problems, including the backup and recovery, disaster recovery like use cases. But I think the first kind of part of that discussion that we have with customers is, hey, where should you locate their data? And largely speaking, because of some of the challenges of getting data out of the clouds, is about locating it in close proximity or adjacent to the clouds, but not necessarily within the clouds themselves. And because they're adjacent, within the Equinix platform, because we have all sorts of cloud on-ramps available globally, that means that data is, available within 1 or 2 milliseconds of any workload, that needs it. I think the other thing that we talk a lot about is the idea of what I would say around security. That data is normally kind of moving around between the clouds and on our systems in a private cloud environment over a private network. And so the value there is that data is not going over the internet, is inherently more secure.
Right. Now, on our side, what we bring to the table is the capabilities to address the DR requirements for customer. You mentioned earlier active-active. We have global active device, which allows the users to access their data simultaneously at both sites. The other use case was DR with distance between the sites. With that, we have something called universal replicator, which allows the user to build sites that are thousands of kilometers apart. On top of these capabilities that are built into the platform, we have a set of software called OpsCenter that allows users to reduce the management overhead of DR, because some of the things you have to do with DR, like failover and failback, are very complex.
What about backup?
Backup we address by working with the major backup providers like Commvault, Veritas, Veeam, and others. Overall, Hitachi Cloud Connect for Equinix is a great solution. Let me summarize up all the benefits. Starting with cost, simply by right-sizing our requirements and deploying the DR or backup site at Equinix, we reduce the cost of building a DR site, the cost to staff and manage the DR site. For performance, this is driven by the capabilities of our VSP platform. And then security is driven by the fact that we're using a private network from Equinix that is highly secure. It doesn't go on the internet, and it has high throughput. Thanks for your time today, Vaughn.
Thank you.
For those of you who are interested in learning more about Hitachi Cloud Connect, please scan the QR code on your screen or refer to the URL in the description.